Then I suppose it's time to call to order the Finance Committee, and let's do so with a roll call.
Commissioner Einhauser,
Present.
Commissioner Coleman,
Present.
Chairperson
Order.
Forte is absent. We have a quorum.
All right. Next is the approval of the agenda, and I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved unanimously. And the minutes of October the 2nd, 2024, I'll likewise make a motion to approve those minutes as presented. Commissioner Coleman seconded, although only one syllable came through. Any corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that's unanimously adopted. Public participation. Is there anybody who would like to speak to the committee?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to give the public participation instructions.
Is there anyone who's looking to speak?
Actually, there's one individual that's raised their hand, Mr. Miko Williams.
Okay, then please proceed, Mr. Peckinpah.
Okay, thank you. To make a comment, please raise your hand by using the raise hand icon on your desktop or mobile device using the Zoom app. If you are calling into the meeting by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. During public comment, after your name is called, you will be given permission to unmute. In order to begin speaking, you will have to unmute yourself. To do so, press the unmute button, which is the microphone icon if you're online or on the Zoom app, or *6 if you are calling in. You will have a limit of 2 minutes to make your comment. There will be a timer indicating your remaining time on the screen. If you're online and make a comment, we kindly request you fill out the comment card link that's located in the chat. By filling out the card, we will have your contact information to follow up appropriately. If you are unable to click the link, please let us know, and a phone number will be provided for you to call to provide the needed information. You will only be called upon once the chair closes public comment. There will be no other comments from the public, and all attendees will remain muted for the meeting. And Mr. Chair, we have Mr. Williams, but I do see Director Brown has his hand raised, so I'm not sure why he's in the attendee. Maybe Kate.
Director Brown, you have the floor. Gary?
I just need to be unmuted.
Oh. All right.
Okay.
The presenter.
All right, Miko Williams, you have the floor. How are you today?
Fine, thanks.
Hi, good afternoon, commissioners. Happy holidays. D'Amico Williams, Chief Director, Hydrate Detroit. What committee meeting am I in? I'm sorry, I just logged on and I had to hurry up and get on quick. What committee am I in?
Finance.
Oh, great. Finance. Yes. I want to thank you all very much for taking my comment. I just want to say for Hydrate Detroit, you know, we've been working for over 10 years. We're just thankful for the water department, for the partnership, Mr. Gary Brown, the commissioners, Chairman Eisenhower, Chairman Blackman, and everyone for working with us, trying to help people stay access to clean running water. It's just great to have this partnership so that we can work together. I also want to thank Mr. Matthew Phillips, the Customer Service Director, for working with us. And I just want to report that, you know, we've really had a great year this year. I'm not concerned about money. Giving Tuesday was yesterday. I didn't even send out an email to beg because you know why? God is going to bless us. He's going to bless our good rewards and good deeds. And we have built grassroots trust and credibility in the city of Detroit. You know, I still complain that, you know, more could be done. We don't have a lot of money, but efforts could be made to make sure that everybody is on a payment plan assistance. And as we move forward, you know, 10 years, our 10-year celebration is next year. And we have a lot to show for our accomplishments over these past 10 years, since 2014 when the water shutoff crisis broke out. You know, this is supposed to be temporary, but this has led into a journey where I have gained knowledge and information. I have gained advocacy skills, and I have become a person that is trustworthy in the community, in the city of Detroit. You know, I just continue to improve and strengthen our relationship. Either way we can, we're here to help, and we just want to make that known. Thank you so much for taking my comment.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Williams, and congratulations on your anniversary. And, Hydrate Detroit has been a good partner of ours, and we've enjoyed working with you. Oh, and by the way, Eisenhower was a president. My name's Einhauser.
Okay, got you. Got you. Thank you.
You're not the first. All right. Anybody else wishes to address the committee?
Mr. Chair, there are no other hands raised at this time.
All right, then we will close public participation and we will move on to communications. There are two items for receipt of correspondence, 2024-216, 2024-214.
Mr. Chair, there are three. It's one on the next page.
I was
That's one.
trying to turn the page, but I realized it isn't my page. Would you flip up? And 2024-248. I'll move that we receive and file all three items of correspondence.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Gary or anyone else want to comment on any of these items of correspondence? Okay, then. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that's unanimously adopted. So we'll go unfinished businesses, none. New business, 8A. Commissioner Coleman, would you make a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a recommendation to the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewer Department, authorize directors to approve amendment number 3 for DWSD contract number 6001658 PC TAC 803B with LGC Global Incorporated to provide assistance with automatic meter reading installation and related work by adding $300,000 for an amended total contract amount not to exceed $2,424,998. No change to the scope of work, terms, and conditions or contract expiring date of 12/31/24. This also authorizes directors to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
All right. Ms. Welsh, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon. This contract amendment is with LGC just for the continuation of meter exchange support and plumbing services. These additional funds will allow the department to pay invoices for services provided through the term of the contract. The replacement contract did come before the board in November, which was fully approved, and it starts January 1, 2025.
It looks like the chair stepped away.
Yes.
Oh, I'm back. I had to let the dog out. Sorry. Any questions or comments on the motion?
No.
No. All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And that's adopted unanimously. Next, we have 2024-250. And I would move that this committee recommend to the Board of Water Commissioners the approval of amendment number 2 for DWSD contract number 6003270 with Cone Inc. for preventative maintenance services and repairs on all DWSD elevators utilizing Omnia Cooperative Contract number EV2516 by adding $500,000 for an amended total contract amount not to exceed $1,011,950 and extending the term 5 years for a new term ending November 30th, 2029, and authorizing the director to take appropriate actions to implement this. Is there a second?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Ms. Welsh?
Good afternoon again. This contract amendment is to add 5 years and 500,000 to align with the current cooperative agreement for our elevator maintenance service and repairs. The original contract was for 3 years. It had an option for a 5-year renewal plan, which the cooperative agreement is exercising at this moment. And so DWSD procurement is presenting the amendment to the board so that we can align with the cooperative agreement to add the additional time.
All right. Questions or comments from committee members? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is adopted unanimously. Next item, 2024-251. Commissioner Coleman?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a recommendation to the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewer Department. Authorize directors to approve amendment number 1, DWSD contract number 6004866 with Major Contracting Group Incorporated to provide as needed inspection and repair of cave-in sewers in the City of Detroit project WS TAC 965 by adding $1,500,000 for an amended total contract amount not to exceed $5,784,261. $5,784,261 and an extended term by 135 days for a new term ending 6/30/25. This also authorizes directors to take such other actions as be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Support. Ms. Welch?
Hi, this amendment for time and money is for as needed inspections and repair of cave-in sewers. The open task to be completed with the 1.5 million that's asking to be amended is there are 800 sewer dye testing inspections that need to be performed so that we can identify further deficiencies that may lie within our sewer systems. And then once those dye tests have been performed, then we will solicit and bid for a new contract for the replacement of those sewers assets as needed.
All right. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That's adopted unanimously. Next, item D, 2024-252. I move that the Finance Committee recommend the approval of contract number 6006867 with EJUSA Inc., formerly known as East Jordan, for fire hydrant extensions of various sizes for a total not to exceed amount of $194,962.50 for a term of 2 years and authorizing the director to take appropriate action.
Support.
Ms. Welch?
Yes, this is a warehouse replenishment contract for fire hydrant extensions. It's field services, inventory use in day-to-day operations. It serves to replenish stock and avoid spot buy emergency purchases. This contract was advertised for 21 days. We did receive 6 responses and EJ was the lowest bidder. And so procurement is recommending to the Finance Committee for approval and movement to full board.
All right, questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that is unanimously adopted. Item E, 2024-253, Commissioner Coleman.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a recommendation to the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewer Department. Authorize the directors to approve DWSD contract 6006871 with EJUSA Incorporated, formerly known as East Jordan, and contract 6006872 with ETNA Supply Company for various hydrant parts for a total combined not to exceed amount of $1,028,671.65 and a term of 2 years. The Board of Water Commissioners, the BOWC, also authorizes directors to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Support. Ms. Welch.
Yes, this is another stock item contract being awarded to the 2 lowest bidders, EJUSA and Aetna per per line item quoted. The contract is for hydrant parts, which are used when the hydrant is most feasible to be repaired versus being replaced. We did advertise for this contract for 21 days. It yielded 3 responses, and both EJUSA and Aetna were the lowest bids. And so we're recommending to the Finance Committee to move to full board for approval.
All right. Any questions or comments?
Question, Mr. Chair. Aetna and East Jordan, are they the same company or the different companies?
They're different companies.
Okay.
Yeah. East Jordan is located in East Jordan, Michigan, and Aetna is located on Gratiot Avenue in Detroit.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And that is adopted unanimously. Next, Finance Committee presentation.
Yeah.
Who will be
afternoon,
doing the
Commissioners.
presentation? Yes,
Can you hear me?
yes, thank you.
All right. Good afternoon and good afternoon, Mr. Chair. This is Istakar Raman. I'm the Chief Financial Officer, DWSD. Today, I will be presenting the financial highlights for the month of September. This is a quarter ending, the first quarter ending for fiscal year 2025. And as a result, we have a few more slides than our normal monthly presentation. First, I'd like to give you a couple of updates. First one is the year-end audit status. The field work for the external audit for the DWSD's annual financial statement audit has been completed by Plant Moran, our external auditors. They are also the external auditors for the city of Detroit as a whole. We are awaiting the final audit report. We are expecting that report to be issued shortly, hopefully by the middle of this month. The next item is the fourth quarter year-end budget to actual variance analysis. With the completion of the annual audit, this report was on hold because the audit was not completed and we didn't know if there were going to be any audit adjustments. So we kept it on hold. With the completion of the audit, this report is now ready and I will be presenting it under a separate cover after this presentation. Some key highlights for the month of September: our cash and investments continue to be stable. A combined cash and investment balance of $286.8 million as of end of September, which reflects an increase of $5.1 million over August. Now, this includes all our funds, including the trust accounts, water and sewer, as well as water and sewer funds as well. Sales and receivables, September sales were for $41.7 million, pretty consistent with our August sales of $41.4 million. When it comes to receipts, the September water receipts of $9.9 million fell slightly short of our $10.2 million target for the month. Sewer receipts of $22.4 million for the month again fell short of our target collection of $25.1 million by $2.7 million. Next slide, please. We continue with the highlights for sales and receivables. Receivables for all active accounts, which includes residential, commercial, and other customer classes, increased by $4 million, which is $1.8 million over our August receivables. Days in receivables also increased by 2 days from 216 for all active customer accounts or classes of customers. Now, when it comes to residential receivables, it increased by $2 million, which is a 1% increase over August receivables. Days in receivables for our residential customers increased by 9 days from 356 to 356 from 347 days in August. Our combined collection rate as of September stood at 82% for all active customer accounts, slightly short of our August collection rate of 85.1%. And when you look at the 3-month moving average, our collection rate stood at 87.5%, which is slightly up from August rate of 87 And this increase can be attributed to our spike in August collections. When it comes to volume and revenue, water volume and revenues fell short of our projected budget level for that month by 4.6% and 4.8%. Water meter equivalents and service charges, however, exceeded budgeted levels by 3.2 and 3.7%. Sewer volume and revenues also fell short of our budgeted expectation by 7.8% and 9.5% respectively. But when it comes to meter counts increased, as well as the service charge associated with those meter counts increased by 4.7%. Billed impervious acres for drainage fell short of the budget by 1.4% for the month. And the associated revenues also fell by 5.3%. I just want to make a slight footnote here. These variances in revenue numbers compared to the budgeted levels could be attributed to seasonality. And it's little too early in the fiscal year to make any or to draw any meaningful conclusion based on these variances. So I just add that footnote here. Let's dive a little bit deeper into our cash and investments for the month. This is the summary of our cash and investments. As you can see, our system-wide cash and investments increased by $5.1 million over August. There was an increase in water fund by 10.1 million, whereas sewer fund decreased by 5 million. The water fund $10.1 million increase is primarily due to reimbursement from the funding source. So normally when we pay our contractors, we pay out of our I&E fund, and then we wait for reimbursement from the funding source for our SRF funded projects. So there was a $10.1 million increase. 9.1 million can be attributed to the reimbursements we received. Decrease of $5 million in the sewer fund is a decrease due to disbursements for I&E funded projects, some of which we are waiting for reimbursements from the funding source. The trust account, which is held by GLWA on our behalf, in the sewer fund decreased by $2.7 million due to lower collection in September. The balances for both the water and the sewer operating funds approximate the 3 months working capital needs for both the funds. For the water fund, it's $11.9 million, and for the sewer, it's 14.7 on a 3-month basis. The next slide is just a graphical presentation of our cash and investment position. We'll go through this quickly. This one is a graphical presentation of our improvement and extension fund. Again, you see that big spike in September from August is due to $9.1 million we received in reimbursement. Going to the next slide, which is the construction cash. Again, a graphical presentation of our cash position in the water construction as well as sewer construction fund. And then this is titled wrong, but it's actually the trust account. It shows you the ups and downs in our trust account collections. As I mentioned before, our collection was slightly shorter than August, but that's not significantly different, as can be seen in the graphs. As I said, there are some additional slides for the quarter ending, and this is one of them. It's a quarterly summary of our cash by fund. It tells you where our money is being held, in which fund, whether it's operating fund, improvement and extension, or construction fund by quarter. And the next slide is also a quarterly slide, and this is our cash and investments by financial institutions. These are the banks that we hold our money for both the funds, starting with US Bank, JP Morgan, First Independence, Comerica, and the bulk of the money we have invested in government, which is a longer investment vehicle so as to gain the advantage of higher rate of return. Next slide, Sheena. Another quarterly slide is our net operating and cash interfund balances. This gives you an idea of our cash and interfund balances combined. As you can see, our net water operating cash and interfund balance is showing a positive trend. There's a slight dip in June, and mainly because of a lot of interfund adjustments we make in June for the financial year end. But since then, and even over the last 12 months, we have shown a positive trend when it comes to our net operating cash position. In the September, net operating cash and interfund balances were $42.2 million, which shows an increase of $4.2 million over the past 12 months. The next slide is the similar. This is for the sewer fund. Again, showing a positive trend across different months in the fiscal year and for the last 12 months as well. This cash position and cash and interfund position as of September showed a balance of $63.3 million, representing an increase of 14.7 over the past 12 months. We'll be switching gears now to comparative accounts receivable. Here's a snapshot of our receivable position by customer class. As you can see here, the sales for September was pretty consistent with the sales from August. And as I mentioned before in the highlights, increases in receivables across all customer classes, including residential customers. The next slide is again a quarterly slide. This is for showing you the aging of our receivables. Normally, uncollected receivables are generally carried for 5 years, which is a statutory lien expiry term. After that, we tend to write off receivables that are hard to collect or we deem uncollectible. 47.
And this one also comes with.
I'm sorry. Is there a question, Commissioner?
I don't believe so. I think we were listening in on another conversation.
Oh, okay. Let me continue then. 47% of the total active receivable balance, as you can see on the chart, is over 1 year old, which is certainly a concern because that represents almost half of our receivables. $98.1 million or 48% of those excesses are related to residential receivables. All of these receivables that are more than 1 year old are taken into account or are factored into our calculation for doubtful collection allowance. The total balance in that receivable of 345 was reduced by the allowance of $265 million, which is almost 80% of our total receivables. The next slide is a snapshot of our 3-month rolling average for collection rates. As you can see here, residential collection rate for September stood at 76.1%. It's a decrease from our August rate of 78.3 and our July rate of 86.6. If you look at the 3-month moving average, it stands at 80.2%. We're a slight increase of from 79.5 and 80% in July. So residential collection rate continues to be a concern. We would ideally like to see that rate go up to low 90s. When it comes to commercial and industrial, we are showing positive results here and trend, and the 3-month moving average also continues to be mid to high 90s. Drainage is another area where we have a little bit of a concern. The collection rate stood at 71.3%, significant decrease in August, and also below our expectation. The 3-month average rate of 69.5% compared to August of 69. Our expectation again for this class of customer is collection rate of 90% or more, and we are way short of that. The next few slides, again, are graphical representation of our revenue, commodity, and metrics. I've already discussed our trends so far in my summary sheet, so I'm not going to go through those again. But these are a graphical presentation of our increases and decreases in our revenues and other metrics. So again, switching gear over to our Lifeline plan. Again, this is a quarterly presentation of our Lifeline program. Just want to give you a summary of where we stand. It's a slightly older information because it's a quarter ending September. The next quarter end will be December. So as of September, we have a total arrears Lifeline of $47 million since we started the program back in September 2022. We have reduced our account arrears by $47 million, meaning people who enroll in our Lifeline programs, their past arrears are forgiven for the customers, but we keep track of them in a separate holding account, mainly because of potential collection from funding sources. We collected $18.5 million from regional, state, and federal funds against that $47 million. We also had to write off $8.7 million because of the fact that those accounts or arrears for those accounts were not deemed collectible in accordance with the funding regulation. Currently, we have $19.8 million outstanding and uncollected. This is these are grant eligible in case in future we tap into some kind of governmental grants. We could use this money to collect from the funding source. We have reduced customer obligations by $20.1 million by moving the difference between their actual bill and their Lifeline balances. This is called a gap difference. And we are holding it in a separate holding account at $20.1 million. Again, this is since the program started back in September, October. We have collected $4.8 million against these gap arrears, leaving us an outstanding balance of $3 million. If you combine the two, the Lifeline gap arrears and the enrollment arrears, we are showing a total arrears of $35 million. The little chart below that is our Lifeline account arrears status. Again, as of September 30th, 2024, our total outstanding balances, there were 25,000 customers owing us $7.2 million. Of this, there are 10,296 accounts who owe us balances in excess of 60 days. And when you translate that into dollars, it's $3.4 million. I would then go to the next slide. Okay. Here is a summary of the program in terms of the cost to DWSD. The middle bucket here shows the total cost to DWSD of $67.1 million. It's made out of $47 million in arrears, $20.1 million in gap. We collected 23.3, 18.5 in arrears, and 4.8 million from gap. So that left us a net exposure of $43.8 million. Out of this exposure, we already wrote off $8.7 million, as I mentioned before. So the balance of $35.1 million is what we are carrying in our books, with the hope, again, with the hope that in future there will be some potential funding that can address this shortfall. Next slide is showing you in a graphical format the story of our significant shortfall. Again, talking about the potential future funding. Here's what we have currently. We have $10.2 million available now, $3.5 million in REP, which is a contribution from DWSD and GLWA combined. This is for the fiscal year 2025, which started on July 1st. We also have $2.6 million and $4.1 million in affordability grants that we can tap into in this fiscal year. So a total of $10.2 million against the net exposure of $35.1 million that I just mentioned in the previous slide. So that's the position of the Lifeline plan as of September 30th. Things have changed a little bit in the following 2 months, but I will give you an update again when I do the December quarterly presentation. So that finishes the monthly presentation for the month of September. Before I go into the budget to actual, are there any questions?
I have none. Lane, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay, then let me go on to the first quarter budget to actual variances. This is again too early in the fiscal year to make any meaningful or to draw any meaningful conclusion. But I'll just like to point out where we stand as of the end of the first quarter. Our commodity revenue for the first quarter was $3.1 million over the straight line budget. On a seasonally adjusted budget, we were actually below the budget by 6.1%. As you can see, reflected on slide 16 of this presentation. Again, I would attribute this difference to seasonality, and my hope is it'll even out as we go through the fiscal year. For the sewer fund, again, we are showing the first quarter result of $1.5 million over the straight line budget. On a seasonally adjusted budget, this is showing a decrease of 9.3%. If you look at slide 18, that will show you the seasonal variation, whereas this is based on our Oracle financial statement. It shows the difference on a straight line basis. Drainage charge revenues fell short of budget estimates by $2.9 million, and that continues to be a concern. This is due to a lower BIA as well as an increase in green credits. The next slide is variance between budget and actual for our operating expenses by appropriation. We have seen positive variances in all our customer class on all our appropriations. Again, these variances are expected in the early part of the fiscal year, and we expect them to even out as the year progresses. This is the same for expenses broken out by natural classification of expenses or by object code. And it's the same comment here. Too early to make any meaningful comment here, but we see some positive variances across all different object codes as of September 30th. When we come back to December, we'll have more numbers that are closer to the actual budget comparison. That concludes the presentation for the month of September. Again, be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions?
No.
Yes, Commissioner Coleman.
No, I said I don't have any
We don't
questions.
have any. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Rockman.
Thank you.
The next item is the planning calendar.
There aren't any changes to the planning calendar, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Then are there any other matters to come before the committee? Hearing none, our next meeting will be Tuesday.
I think, Mr. Chair, we have one more budget to actual for item.
Oh, okay. This is 2024-225.
Yes.
Okay.
So as I mentioned before in my September presentation, the June year-end budget to actual report could not be presented earlier because of the ongoing audit. The audit's now been completed, so I'd like to present this short 3 slides of comparison between budget and actual for our revenues and expenses.
Okay.
We have ended the year 2024 on a positive note for all our revenue sources. As you can see here, our commodity revenue was $6.1 million over budget. Again, due to increased volume usage over budgeted level, our volume exceeded by 135,000 MCF, resulting in a positive variance. Our service charge revenue also increased by $1.3 million, which represented 5.4% over our budget due to a higher actual meter installation over budgeted level and exceeded our actual meter equivalents exceeded budget by 185,000 equivalent meters. That resulted in the positive variance. The increase in meters and uses and the volume uses and resulting in higher revenues could be attributed to population growth in Detroit. That's all positive news for Detroit as well as us, as it shows the revenue increases as well as growth in our meter requests or installation for meters. There's one item here that shows decrease in GLWA reimbursement. This is because the budgeted amount represents GLWA share of pension as well as debt service. The actual expense only includes the interest portion. So this is a budgeting concept where we have to include GLWA's share of pension and debt service, but in actuality, and for the actual computation, it's just the interest portion. So you see that difference here. On the sewer side, the shortage is in drainage revenues. It fell compared to the budget by $5.7 million. Again, the difference is because of the lower BIA, which is the billable impervious acres, as well as increase in green credits. The BIA was lower by 482 acres, resulting in the lower revenue collection. Same explanation for the other GLWA reimbursement. For the sewer fund, we have to include their share of pension and debt service in the budget, but in the actual column, it's just the interest portion. Here is the expense variances between budget and actual by appropriation and non-departmental expenses, and the variety of reasons why we have some budgetary savings, mainly in operations. We have some projects that were delayed or not started on time. In the compliance section, we have some savings in our contractual services as well. In finance, certain projects are not ready to be started, like the warehouse consolidation projects. We could not start on time. There were some savings on our consulting initiatives and also savings in our purchase services over budgeted shared based on what the city bills us for common services that the city bills us. The legacy pension expense variance of $7 million, which is included in the budget for budgetary control purposes, but not in actual expense. The variance is mainly due to actual determination of our pension liability, which came much lower than our expectation. When you come down to bad debt expense, the decrease is due to year-end adjustments. We wrote off $16.4 million based on evaluation of the receivables and potential collectibility. As I mentioned before in my monthly presentation, that we do analyze our receivables regularly, and any receivables that are over a year, and we tend to write them off or make allowance for doubtful collection. Especially at the year end, we take an overall look at all our receivables, and then we classify them by age and then make the appropriate adjustments to reflect the most accurate number in our calculation. And finally, the last slide is again a variation of the between actual and budget for expenses, but this is by object code, and pretty much the same explanation I gave for the variances and appropriations. So that concludes the budget to actual for the year ended June 30th, 2024. More than happy to answer any of your questions.
All right. Questions? I have none. Very, very thorough presentation. And most of the numbers look pretty positive. Do you any idea why our collections on residential is below where we want it to be?
My only guess is people don't pay.
Well, that's a good reason.
Yeah, people just refuse to pay. I think they, unless there is a consequence to that idea or to that line of thinking, I think people will continue, in my mind, people will continue not paying as they should be. The bad part of it is, again, people who can even afford to pay, not even taking into account people in Lifeline, but people who can even afford to pay are sometimes not willing to pay for whatever reason.
All right. All right. Any other questions? Very good. Now the planning calendar, and previously reported no changes to the planning calendar. Are there other matters to come before the committee? Then the next meeting will be Tuesday, January the 7th, 2025. Well, is there a reason we're meeting on Tuesday instead of Wednesday?
Wednesday is a Gleeble board meeting day, so we don't use their dates.
I see. All right. Then a motion to adjourn is in order.
So move, Mr. Chair.
It's been moved. I second. All those in favor of adjourning this meeting of the Finance Committee, please say aye. Aye. And
Aye.
that is adopted unanimously. We are now adjourned.
Thank you.
So we have 13 minutes for the next meeting,
Which is the next meeting?
the CIPO.
Medicare annual enrollment period. The phone lines may get busy.
Motion detected at your front door.
Commissioner Coleman,
Time now is 2 o'clock. I'd like to call the Capital Improvement and Program Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please, Mary.
Chairperson Coleman,
Present. Florida.
Commissioner Davis,
Present, Detroit.
Commissioner Kinlock.
Present, Detroit.
Mr.
Thank
Chair,
you.
we have a quorum.
Appreciate that. At this time, I'd like to call for approval of the agenda as presented.
Move approval. Support.
It has been moved and supported. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Next line item is approval of the minutes as presented from November 6, 2024. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I move approval. Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor? Signify.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes have been approved. Line item number 5, public participation. Do we have anyone? Going once, going twice?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Brian Peckerpaugh, Public Affairs Director. We do have Mr. Williams who has raised his hand.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. How are you?
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioner Coleman. Happy holidays to you and
Same
the
to
rest of the
you.
commission. D'Amico Williams, Chief Executive Director, Hydrate Detroit. I wanted to make a general comment in regards to the lead. Want an update on what has happened since the announcement. The response, I do have to credit DWSD in its response and making sure that they cleared the context of the letter, but residents are still worried that there could be lead in the water, and they're not taking any answer despite what has happened in Flint. I would like a report from Director Smalley of how many households have signed up to have their homes tested for lead. How many residents have reached out demanding or at least seeking information on how they could get their homes tested? I know I've been presented with this information and I didn't know what to tell. I just told them to call DWSD and the health department, which there is an established phone number, but residents don't have this information. I wish there could have been on the website of DWSD information for for homes in certain communities of Detroit to have their water tested, but to also have their homes tested for lead and what they need to do to change their copper. Not a lot of people have money to do these repairs on their side. And I want to also say, in response to Mr. Rahman on the finance committee in regards to, people just don't pay. People are paying their bills. They just don't have the money that you all are expecting. And there is supposed to be safeguards and guardrails in place to ensure that everyone is paying their bills and keeping up with what they can. There's no more excuses. It's 2024 now. So I just want to hear from Mr. Smalley the aftermath of what happened with the announcement of the lead. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Well, normally not engaging in back and forth, I will say that we had about 200 requests for lead testing. Sample bottles were distributed, and I think about 30 of them have been turned in by those customers, and those will be tested. Any other bottles that are turned in will also be tested.
Mr. Chair, there are no other hands raised.
Okay. All right. Thank you. With that ends public participation. Can you please mute your phone, please? Or next up is line item number 6, communication. I see we have none. Line item number 7, unfinished business. We have none. Number 8, new business. Item A, 2024 TAC 257, CIP budget and actual variance report, 6/30/2024.
Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioners. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Istokur Raman, DWSD. I have two back-to-back presentations of budget to actual variances today. The first one is the report for June 30th, 2024. We could not present this report earlier because of the ongoing audit. We generally prefer the audit to be closed out and completed before we have our final numbers to give you a sense of budget to actual numbers for the year ended June 30th, 2024. So that audit has been now completed. So we are in a position to give you a budget to actual comparison for the year ended June 30th, 2024. Next slide, please. This is a short presentation. I'll give you highlights of that analysis. Again, this is a fiscal year 2024 year-end CIP project budget to actual variance report. Just FYI, for your information, all projects are within the approved contract amounts, whatever the board approved. For each of those contracts, we have not exceeded any of those approved contract amounts, so all within the budget limits. There were 4 contracts. They are red highlighted in the water project list, which follows this slide. WS 721 and 731, CS 1942 and CS 1947. These are the contracts where the contract periods have expired or ended. They have been completed within budget and will be closed out, except for CS 1947, where we are requesting time extension till December 31st, 2024, to complete the contract and close it out. Now, Fund 1947 CS, there are funds available, and that's the reason we are asking for extension of time to complete the rest of the contract. There were 8 contracts in the sewer project list, DWS 903, 908, 16, 916, 917, 932, 938, and CS 1942 and PC 806. Again, these are the contracts where the contract periods have expired. There was time extension for completion has been requested for all of these projects except for CS 1942 and PC 806. Again, there are funds available. It's just a time extension for these contracts to close them out. DWSD 1942 and PC 806 out of these 8 contracts will be closed out. The rest of the contracts and projects are currently active, and unexpended amounts for those contracts that are remaining are expected to be spent out during the course of the contracts. All of these CIP projects for both the water as well as the sewer funds, laying out their contract period, approved contract amounts, amounts expended through June 30th, and the budget to actual expenditures are summarized in the water and sewer project list that follows this slide. Next slide, please. This is the water slide. You see the red highlighted are the ones that I just explained, where the contracts are either closed out or where time extension is requested. Again, if you look at the variance column, they are all positive, meaning all the contracts have been are within budget or are completed again within budget. The first one is the water list, and then the next slide is the sewer list. Similarly, in the variance column, where I would focus in is all our positive variances, meaning the contracts have been closed out within budget or there are money remaining for the rest of the contract period. That concludes my presentation. Again, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. We'll go to line item B then. 2024 Tech 258 CIP first quarter report. Was that all in your presentation?
Yeah, so this is the second one that I talked about. The last one was for the year ended June 30th, 24. This is a quarter ended for the first quarter of the new fiscal year, which is FY25. And as I do every quarter, I present you the budget to actual variance. This is the first of for the new fiscal year. Again, just a summary page here. Tell you that all projects are within approved contract amounts. There's only one contract in this fiscal year highlighted in red, WS 731, where the contract period has expired. This contract has been completed, and all the closeout documents will be completed. Time extension has been requested for two projects, WS 717 and WS 719, where the contracts are going to be expiring very shortly. Again, all these projects have funds available for them to be completed. In the sewer project list, there are two contracts, DWS 932 and CS 1962, where the contracts have expired and closing the contracts is in process. In the next slide, which is the list of projects for water and sewer, you'll see a $1.4 million positive variance for DWS 932 in the sewer list. Not in the next slide, Sheena, here in this, you'll see a $1.4 million variance. And this is primarily due to de-scoping of the project. There are some changes made to the project, which is not increasing, but decreasing, and reworking the scope resulted in a saving of $1.4 million. We do not expect any further work on this contract, so will be eventually closed out this year. All other projects are currently active, and amounts that you see in the variance column in the next two slides are expected to be expended during the course of the contracts. We'll go down to the next slide, Sheena, would be the water slides. Again, focus would be on the variance column. You'll see, except for the red ones, which is the contract that will be closed out because it's expired, all other contracts have positive variances, meaning these are the amounts that are remaining in the contract and will be expended in the upcoming months. This is the water slide. The next one is the sewer slide with the same concept. Focuses on the variance column. All are positive variances, having monies remaining in the contracts for expansion or expanding in the in the next few months or year. That's a short presentation for the first quarter. I'll be coming back with a similar report for the next quarter ending December. Any questions? I'll be happy to answer.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item is item C, 2024 Tech 259, Permitting and Stormwater Management Group, PSMG, sponsors operations.
Hello, my name is Lisa Wallach. I'm the Field Services Director for Permitting and Stormwater Management at the Detroit Water and Sewage Department. And I've requested permission to share. Am I sharing my screen?
Yes.
And it's now in presentation mode.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of our initiatives and an update on what we've done through fiscal year 24. So I'm going to start with stormwater management. And we have lots of initiatives that we use across the city to keep the basins dry, create capacity, and reduce flooding. One of them is to reduce peak flow control. And what that means is to hold the water back, put it in a detention pond, put it in an underground tank, do something to hold it back during a storm event so it's not directly going into the combined sewer system. Another thing we do is source removal, which means get it out, get the stormwater out of the system. So we can either infiltrate it into the ground or we can put it through stormwater pipes on its way to the Detroit or Rouge rivers. We also work with, hold on a second, let me shut my door. My apologies. We work with redevelopment to make sure they manage the stormwater where it falls. And we also collaborate with other entities such as MDOT, Bedrock, and our surrounding communities to get the most bang for our buck on stormwater management. So let me talk about stormwater regulations. Prior to 2018, we did not have any restrictions on development and them managing their stormwater. So they just let it flow right into our combined sewer system. Then we passed the ordinance, and now we have over 100 projects across the city that have to manage their stormwater, and that's over 600 acres of land. And these projects qualify for stormwater credit once they're installed. So again, this says 104. We know we have more than 104. And during a storm event, they hold back over 50 million gallons of stormwater during one event. And at the same time, these projects reduce and eliminate and directly discharge over 2.8 million gallons to receiving waterways. We also have the municipal separate storm sewer system called an MS4 permit with Eagle. And MS4 is where the catch basins are piped directly to receiving waterways. So they do not connect to the combined sewer system. They go directly to waterways in which we have to comply with permit in order to allow that to happen. So we have to submit biannual reports to Eagle regarding our program status. We have to train our staff so they know like what should or should not be going into that catch basin. We have to regularly inspect and clean the catch basins, which our M&R team does with us. And we have to do water discharge quality testing because we need to make sure that there's no E. coli or bacteria or anything else coming into that pipe that is headed towards the water body. So we want to make sure that nobody illegally connected. So we have to do annual testing. We also have to work with the residents that are within areas that have these catch basins and survey them and let them know what they should and should not be doing near these catch basins that directly discharge to receiving waterways. And then we also have educational signage posted on our website. And we train the GSD and Belle Isle staff as most of our MS4 is either on Belle Isle or in parks. So then we also have projects that DWSD completes. So these are our own GSI projects. And we have constructed 19 to date that manage stormwater, mostly in the Upper Rouge tributary area of the city, which is the northwest side of the city. And they manage more than 53 million gallons of water annually, reducing that peak flow going into the system. And they usually include native landscape to help beautify streets and parks. Most of them are in parks and city public facilities. And now that we've gotten into bigger projects, we coordinate with our water and sewer engineering teams to ensure when we go into a neighborhood that we are assessing their water and sewer needs as well. Because we don't want to go in and put in a bunch of storm sewer to convey stormwater, and then 2 years later go in and rip up the neighborhood and put in a bunch of water mains. So we coordinate so that when we do go into a neighborhood to do a very large project, we now make sure we're only disturbing the neighborhood once. So this is a list of those 19 projects that are currently installed. I won't go through them all, but I think they'll be in the presentation you receive. That's what's in the ground now. It costs $13.9 million to construct those 19 practices. They hold back 2.2 million gallons of stormwater per event. And then they have a peak flow reduction annually of 53 million gallons. So we do have some projects under construction that are not included in that list. Far West is our first biggest project. That cost $32 million, and that was almost fully funded by the Evergreen Farmington capacity swap, where they needed to get water into the system, and we were getting all this water out of it. So with coordination with GLWA and Eagle, we were able to do a capacity swap and have them fund this project, where we are managing stormwater runoff from over 200 acres. That's a 2.5 million gallon peak flow reduction. And this project removes over 100 million gallons from the system annually. So it's really freeing up capacity in that combined sewer system. And we use, in this case, we're in Rouge Park, which is going to be a beautiful amenity for the park to have this big piece of green infrastructure. A project that also just kicked off was West Chicago South, a $21.4 million project. We have grant funding in the amount of $19.1 million. We are going to manage runoff from 79 acres. We're going to put in a new stormwater outfall that discharges at the Ashcroft Drain, which will help improve water quality there. And we're going to have 50% reduction in CSO activity as a result of this project. So we're getting the stormwater out and also helping to meet regulatory requirements. Blackstone also has kicked off. This is where we're investing $1.4 million. We have $300,000 in grant funds for this project as well. And we're reducing the peak flow for 4.34 acres. And we're going to remove over 500,000 gallons of stormwater annually from the system. And so here we are, it's the first time we're going to try removing a street. So we're removing a portion of Blackstone between Keeler and Midland, and we're going to install over 200 trees to manage stormwater and create like a stormwater park there. So this will be our first time experiencing this, and it's exciting. The residents there are excited about that too. We have projects in design. So this project, the Detroit and Centerline Collaboration Project, just went out to bid. This is where we worked with GLWA and Eagle and Centerline, as Centerline needed to get flow into our system, a small increment of flow into our system, and they were willing to fund a project for DWSD to do to get a lot of flow out of the system. So in this case, we received $6 million from the city of Centerline through their American Rescue ARPA dollars. And we are going to remove 53 million gallons of stormwater annually from the combined sewer system through the project that we are doing as a capacity swap. And this will eliminate 2 combined sewer overflows from discharging in the future. So the area is a 55-acre drainage area. And you can see there at the bottom of the screen, B32 and B33. And both of those will, in the future, discharge stormwater only and no longer be connected to the combined sewer system, so that we're really creating capacity there and managing a lot of stormwater. We also have shovel-ready projects. We have over $60 million in planned stormwater management improvements for West Chicago and Schoolcraft. And we know that there's a lot of funding out there, so we went ahead and moved forward here with these projects through design. And they are to remove stormwater from the system, get it to the Rouge River. It's a combination of gray and green infrastructure, you know, to maximize that performance. We are seeking funding through the state Michigan's Clean Revolving Fund, and anywhere else we can. We're looking for money, and if anybody has any, we'll take it. So West Chicago North, we are currently unfunded, but the construction of that, and it includes a new stormwater discharge to the river and a reclassification of a combined sewer outfall to help meet permit requirements. So we are going after a FEMA brick grant for that, as well as looking at that through Eagle's SRF funding. And then West Chicago South is funded and under construction. Schoolcraft North, currently unfunded and seeking funds through Eagle, and anything else that comes up we think might work. And the same with Schoolcraft South. And that will also include a new stormwater discharge to the Rouge River. The Finkel stormwater projects are shovel ready and funded. We have $1.3 million in grant funds secured to install approximately 20 bioretention practices, and all the green dots on the map there on the site are showing you the location of the 20 bioretention practices. Now these practices will manage stormwater runoff from roughly 50 acres and have a $9 million gallon peak flow reduction during a storm event. So, and these gave us a lot of information on ground water table and infiltration. So these were great. We're hoping that these all connect to a larger project that is in the works. So this was a great grant funded initiative here, and it'll help provide an amenity to hundreds of homes. So we have projects in planning. The East Side Stormwater Relief Study. This project is fully funded by grant dollars. We got creative. We received an Eagle grant for $480,000, and we used a NIFWIF grant as the match money. So this project requires no ratepayer dollars. And what we're going to do is try and find a way to study the area. It's a study to see if we can get the stormwater from these 5 neighborhoods into a collection system and into possibly some sort of nature-based solution that could treat the stormwater and then pump it to Fox Creek, where we could improve the water quality in Fox Creek as an added benefit. And this area was chosen for the study as it has long lengths of storm sewer before it attaches to the combined sewer. So if we can catch those existing storm sewers and reroute them, that would be a great benefit to the east side. So the objectives are, same as most of our other projects, is we want to, keep basements dry, reduce street flooding. We don't want the risks associated with flooding in this area. We want to improve our infrastructure resiliency and be ready for the climate change and the change in weather patterns that we're having. And, Fox Creek could really use some improved water quality. So that'd be a great addition if the study proves that we can make that happen. So McNichols East and McNichols West, we have almost $1 million in grant funding to study these 2 areas to see if we can get the stormwater out of the system and to the Rouge River. So this study also is planned to complement work going on by GLWA, where they're trying to create or install inline storage. And also we want to, convert the McNichols relief sewer to stormwater only. So all these things will be coordinated with GLWA as well to see how best we could get the stormwater in this area to the rivers, especially since this is a highly active CSO area. And that will help, further our initiatives towards permit compliance. And again, reduce the risk of flooding in the area to buildings, streets, homes, etc. Fisher Meldrum, we received grant funding from the HUD CDBG Disaster Recovery Grant. And we are going to study the area of Indian Village and Island View neighborhoods to see if we can, again, find a way to convey the stormwater to the Detroit River. And we're going to have to work closely with GLWA's efforts in this area, as well as the I-94 reconstruction project. So in a nutshell, our projects in planning right now are shown in the lighter green across the screen. And then we have the darker projects. The darker green is they're designed. Three of them are actually funded, and the other two are waiting funds. And then we have our construction projects that are ongoing. So stormwater collaboration. So I had talked in the beginning about how collaborating can lead to better better stormwater management. So Gordie Howell, we worked closely with them, and we were able to have them convey all their stormwater to ponds on site that then will discharge to the Detroit River. And that was a $30 million investment by Gordie Howell. We are working with the 375 team right now, and as they bring that freeway up to grade as a boulevard, they are going to install a stormwater only discharge pipe for themselves, as well as one for DWSD. And we're getting a 4-foot stormwater discharge pipe that will take the excess properties drainage that is going back to this excess property going back to the city. We'll get the drainage from that and we'll attach that to the 4-footer. And so that's over a $35 million investment by MDOT in that area. And then you have the I-94 reconstruction, which is over $700 million investment in stormwater management, where they're going to put in a tunnel and get the water from the freeway to the Detroit River. M39 is currently under a study where they're going to see what the options are, and we're assisting with that as well to get the stormwater to the Rouge River. We already talked about our Far West project. It was a capacity swap with Evergreen Farmington. And then we had the Centerline project for the capacity swap there down, and that's a $6 million investment from them. So the collaboration with these other entities has led to hundreds of acres being managed and hundreds of millions of gallons being taken off the system. That really creates a lot of capacity in our combined system and helps us to become more resilient. The Stormwater Hub. So this is a website that we developed in a collaboration with our nonprofit partners and other community groups to promote GSI. So it is a website that you can go to and interact with, where you can click on resources and even all the dots on the map have, it tells you what it is, whether it's a rain barrel at somebody's house or a larger development project or one of our projects, and it tells you what it is, you know, how much water it manages, etc. We've gotten compliments at other cities for this, that they want to recreate this. So we've gotten a lot of feedback on it. It's a positive promotion of stormwater management that's owned by DWSD. The website is owned by DWSD, and Public Affairs, our stormwater team, and the IT team all keep it up and running. So the drainage program, this is where private property that is existing, where we incentivize them to manage their stormwater, retrofit their site, so that, you know, they're helping too in this effort of stormwater management. And to date, we have, well, as of the end of fiscal year 24, over 580 million gallons are managed annually through retention, which is putting it into the ground, or detention, which is holding it back during the storm. And so on top of that, there's over 380 million gallons being managed annually through direct discharge. So people who sending their stormwater directly to the river. So it's been highly successful in managing the existing sites that didn't have stormwater management previously. And in fiscal year 24, we did over 200 property assessments for drainage related inquiries. Permitting projects. So we have a lot going on in permitting. Some of the items done in fiscal year 24 whereas we worked with IT to define a business process and new permit software procurement installation. So that was a big effort. We're trying to upgrade our permitting software. We held meetings between DWSD groups internally to facilitate timely and collaborative responses to the customers, and we've been improving on that regularly. It's a great effort we do here in the permitting section. And also they started digitizing historical infrastructure records and analyzing the gaps in the current DWSD GIS database. So other improvements were cross-training staff for succession planning. We also created new and then improved on existing SOPs. The illegal connection SOP, where we can ticket for illegal use of hydrants or illegal catching people illegally connecting to our system. We are going to finish training this December and hopefully start issuing tickets the beginning of the year. And then we updated our easement petition, our right of way, and created a demo clearance SOP. So one of the great initiatives in fiscal 24 is that we put the hydrant flow testing into CityWorks. So we did 144 flow tests in CityWorks, which was a huge improvement from using smart sheets. It was, valuable in executing, tracking, and closing of work orders in timely fashions. It was a huge improvement. And so now it also helps our water infrastructure team do their evaluations because it's all tracked in one central location. So that was a big upgrade to put that system into CityWorks. So we completed a lot of permit reviews and issued a lot of permits in fiscal year 24. BC permit reviews were up by 43%. We did 232 of those. We were down a little bit in how many water and sewer permits we reviewed from fiscal year 23. We did 442 of those and issued. And then demo clearance was up a little bit. We did 168 demo clearances. We issued 147 hydrant permits, and the sewer repair permit number is up by 27%. And I think that might be good news that people are using the permitting, obtaining permitting instead of illegally trying to correct their sewer issues. So that's good if they're coming to us now. It's progress. And we also train staff on submittals for compliance with the Clean Drinking Water Act of 399 and Part 41 wastewater construction permits. Eagle approved 17 of our private development permits in fiscal year 24. Customer office hours. So the team did a great initiative here. They developed virtual office hours. And so we held over 100 virtual office hours with our customers and developers across the city. They are able to click on a link, pick a time, pick a category, and then we show up and we meet with them to do whatever we can to aid the customer in obtaining green credits or creating developable plans so they don't have to resubmit all the time, or whatever we can do to assist them in getting what they're requesting done accurately the first time to the best of our ability. And so we also collaborated with the mayor's infrastructure team, BSEED and DPW. All those offices know where our link is to office hours and direct customers to that regarding DWC inquiries. And more improvements are underway. So we have implementing a new interdepartmental notification via CityWorks so that our customer service reps are notified when the disconnection is complete. Before it was all manual and remembering to check. So this is going to be a notification that comes and says the disconnect's complete. You can issue the clearance or the invoice. We're doing website updates. We're developing a new permit related to permit-related standard details, evaluating permit fee schedules and updating our inspection standard operating procedure. We're beefing that up. And with that, I'll take any questions that anyone has.
Any questions? Thank you. Appreciate that very much.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I'd just like to emphasize that obviously that was a lot of information, but Lisa and her team have built an award-winning MS4 permit, and they're certainly on the front lines of making the entire city more resilient through slowing the water down or getting it out of the system altogether. So just wanted to emphasize that and thank her and her team for all their efforts.
Thank you, Sam.
Great. Thank you. Okay, next up, line item number 8 is our planning calendar.
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Law matters to be brought before the body. All right, our next meeting is scheduled for January 7th, 2025. I'd like for a motion to adjourn, please.
Move adjournment. Support.
All right, it has been moved and supported. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, guys. Time is 2:42.
We are doing wonderful on schedule.
Hope you continue that streak.
I'll take credit for it, Marion, before I start.
Oh, boy.
A lot of information in that last meeting. I don't know who has control of my agenda, but I can't move it, so I guess someone is going to advance it for me.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, I would just like to inform you that my battery for my computer is low and may not allow me to advance it on my own, so I will be totally at the will of whomever is
at the mercy. No.
Not a good feeling. Oh boy. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call the Customer Service Committee meeting to order and ask the secretary for roll call, please.
Chairperson Blackman,
Detroit.
Commissioner Garcia,
Present, Arizona.
and Commissioner Forte is absent. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. What is the will of the committee?
So moved, Madam Chair.
And I support that we approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, the agenda stands approved. The next item is the approval of the minutes of November 6th, 2024. Commissioner Garcia.
Support.
Move approval. I will support. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes stand approved as presented. The next item is public participation. I would like to see if anyone has indicated a desire to speak before this committee.
Madam Chair, Brian Peckapaw, Public Affairs Director, there are no hands raised at this time.
So much then, since there's no one who has requested to speak, we will close public participation.
Oh, excuse me, two people just put up their hands,
Okay, very good. And would you like
just as you were closing it out.
would you like to read our statement then?
Yes, to make a comment, please raise your hand by using the raise hand icon on your desktop or mobile device using the Zoom app. If you are calling into the meeting by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. During public comment, after your name is called, you will be given permission to unmute. In order to begin speaking, you will have to unmute yourself. You will have a limit of 2 minutes to make your comment. There will be a timer indicating your remaining time. If you're online to make a comment, we kindly request you fill out the comment card link that's located in the chat. By filling out this card, we'll be able to follow up with you appropriately. You will only be called upon once the chair closes public comment. There will be no other comments from the public, and all attendees will remain muted for the duration of the meeting. Thank you for your attention, and Madam Chair, the first person is D'Amico Williams.
Welcome, Mr. Williams. Good to hear from you. Please.
Hi, Commissioner Blackman. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you very much, and the same to you. I just celebrated a birthday, so I feel especially wonderful.
Happy birthday to you. Thank you for taking my comment. I thought we had extended the commission, the clock to 3 minutes for subcommittee meetings to 2 minutes for the regular meeting. It's still listed at 2 minutes, Commissioner Blackman. I thought we had fixed this, but also I want to respond to the numbers that were discussed by Finance Raman about the Lifeline. Okay, so let me ask a question. These 25,000 people that owe arrears, what class are they in tiers? Are they in the $18 tier? They in the $43 tier or the $56 tier? That is not explained. These people that owe 10,000 over the course of 60 days, what tier are they in? And how much do they owe exactly? And what are the biggest tiers that we're having a problem with? Because of the people, I don't believe it's the people that's paying $18. You cannot F up an $18 water bill. I keep telling people in the city of Detroit this, and they understand me clear as day. Something ain't right here. Why is Wayne Metro not putting their people to make sure that those cases that they're working on aren't missing on their payments? And why don't we have a Wayne Metro representative to explain themselves when these questions come up at the board meeting? There should be a board representative, Shimona, whomever, to explain their practices. I mean, again, this is presenting questions that are not fully answered. How many people of those that are unpaid in what tier, so that we can understand what we're working with? So it's not everybody that's half the program that's in arrears. It's really a problem here. I hope that we can get this fixed, but that my whole comment is I want specific answers, and what we can do is not just, oh, they should pay or they refuse to pay. People are paying their bills. Thank you for taking my comment.
We will have a discussion regarding where we are with Lifeline on the agenda.
Madam Chair, the next person is Gwen Howard. Gwen Howard.
Ms. Howard, how are you this afternoon?
Good afternoon, Commissioner Blackman, and happy birthday since I heard you say it was your birthday.
Yes, but I'm still celebrating. Thank you.
All right. I guess I'm at you just said that you will have questions about Lifeline further down the line, but that's what makes this so backwards. We would like to hear what you have to say to even then it may change the comments that I'm trying to bring forth, because it definitely is about the Lifeline program. And I'm understanding that, just like Mr. Williams just said, the people that you're stating that are in arrears on $18. But if they're the $18 in arrears and you're paying the gap and they're still in the arrears, it's like contradictory. But I would like to hear, I'll stay on and listen to what has to be said about the Lifeline program that seems to be coming to an abrupt end because of funding. But the concern is all of those customers that are on Lifeline. Are they going to be, we're going to be right back into the shut off status role, or how is that going to roll out? It's just, it's right now, it's just questionable, and not having anything definite to tell these customers when they call, except for they're going to be informed, they're going to pick, and you only have $11 million. So you're going to pick the people that move forward, and it's a lot of them in a waiting and holding area. And then when they get this news that it's not going to happen, what are we supposed to do when we're trying to assist you guys in the programs or what you have rolled out? Because Lifeline was the best thing going at the time. So we're like in a catch-22. Thank you for taking my comment, because I can't give you my questions because I don't know what you're going to say after the fact.
It's my understanding that we've had some meetings discussing this, Ms. Howard. So let's wait and see what comes out in the report, and then you can always put it in the chat if you want us to address some additional things. But we certainly hope we'll be able to answer the questions that you have. Is there anyone else who has raised their hand to be called upon?
Madam Chair, the next person is Norel Hemphill.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Hemphill, how are you today? And welcome.
Good afternoon. Just so you know, Commissioner Blackman, the chat is disabled. So we are unable to participate in the chat and unable to participate in the meetings outside of the public comment period. I would like to just raise a couple things quickly. Number one is just pointing out that the public comment being decreased by 1/3 does seem harsh. As Mother Howard mentioned, this format does not allow us to actually give feedback in the committee meetings, nor in the Board of Water Commissioners meetings, as we have to try to anticipate what is being said before the presentations. So we're always reacting. And then further, the time has been reduced for us to say things that are pertinent. I just want to bring up a couple other points. We're still missing recordings from about a year of Board of Water Commissioners meetings. They are now on the website, on the YouTube website for the Board of Water Commissioners. And so I think it's important as we continue that those recordings are available to the public. I know most people are at work during this time, and they do rely on the recordings to stay up to date on everything that's going on. Also, I just want to mention that water is a human right, and we need to ensure that residents in Detroit, that we do all we can to make sure that they have continuous access to clean, safe, and affordable water. Thank you.
We will talk a little bit more about some of the things you brought up later on in the meeting. Is there anyone else who would like to address the committee at this time?
Madam Chair, the next person is Rosalind Ogburn. I apologize if I'm pronouncing your last name incorrectly.
Okay, would you pronounce your name for us and then proceed with your comment, please?
Thank you, Commissioner. My name is Roslyn Ogburn, and I am in the District 7 in the Warrendale community. And I am also the D7 Climate Equity Advisory Council member for my district, but also the Partnership Coordinator for Michigan League of Conservation Voters. I do believe water is a human right, and I'm on this call specifically to, one, I want to make echo on this statement towards what Ms. Norrell Hemp stated about us proactively responding rather than listening to the rest of the meeting and be able to respond afterwards. But then also the conversation that Mr. Williams made as well about the extension if we had 3 minutes, why are we only having 2? But last but not least, the letter that was sent out last month with the error pertaining to the filters stating that you cannot use them through hot water. My inquiry is when will the next corrected letter comes out? And then when will the resources be delivered for the filters? Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and thank you for the solutions that you will bring.
Anyone else who would like to comment before this committee?
Madam Chair, the next person is Cecily McClellan.
So, and how are you? Please join us.
Yes, thank you very much for taking my call. We, the people of Detroit, appreciated the opportunity to meet with Matt Phillips in regards to the status of the Lifeline program. It has always been our concern that the Lifeline program was an assistance program, which meaning it was temporary. And it's our posture that the city of Detroit or DWSD needs to be looking for a permanent program and a permanent source of funding. We anticipate looking at the numbers alone. The Lifeline at its height had close to 26,000 residents in the program. Right now, it appears that only about 6,000 residents are receiving full benefits in the program. That is a tremendous, I mean, we're talking about over, over 10,000 persons that will be in need of services that will not be available. It is nice, and I think it was very convenient that the Easy Pay program was brought about. But as we learned many years ago with the 10/30/50, if you don't have the capability to pay a monthly water bill, being offered a plan over a period of time and then paying your current bill is always a recipe for a disaster, particularly depending on how much your arrearage is. So we are very concerned that in the coming year, that there'll be a large number of residents that will be impacted by potential shutoffs. And we'll be back where we were several years ago with the crisis in terms of shutoff. Hopefully, we will look at some other avenue to support and make a permanent water affordability program. Water is a human right. Thank you.
I assure you that we are seeking every possible avenue to be able to address the needs of our customers who are on this plane. Is there anyone else who would like to speak, Mr. Peckinpah?
Madam Chair, that was the last person.
Madam Chair?
I was going to ask the director to please comment.
Yeah, thank you. Just briefly, I know this is coming up later in the agenda, but there was a question raised by one of the callers as to what is it that we can do? And that's a great question, because there are 2 bills pending in the House and the Senate right now that should be up for a vote within the next 2 weeks on water affordability that will create a funding source that can support Lifeline. And the thing that they can do is call their state senators, call their state representatives, reach out to all that are in their databases to do the same thing, to press for a vote and press for a yes vote in order to get the legislation passed that will create a $1.25 on every meter in Michigan. And that will raise to $2 per meter, which will create a funding source that could be used as a long-term funding source to support not only Detroit's Lifeline program, but any similar program in the state of Michigan. So when people ask what can they do, that legislation is in lame duck right now. It will be up for a vote in both the Senate and the House within the next 2 weeks. It's Senate Bill 660, I believe is the number, and they should be calling their representatives, all representatives in the state of Michigan, and asking them to support that legislation so that we can continue to provide the level of service that we know, that we all know is needed in the city of Detroit. So I just wanted to put that out there. We'll say it again when we get to the line item that's coming up to address this issue. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to say it.
Director Brown, I think it's important that you make that comment at this time. And I totally agree that we've got to be on the aggressive as those who care about all of our customers to be in touch with our legislators before the end of this year. So thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to address the committee at this time?
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peckinpah. Then we will close public participation and move on to communications. Under communications, we have 6A, 2024-2-264. Is there a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
I would state that we would move that we accept the items under receipt of correspondence, and I would support that. Thank you very much, Commissioner Garcia. Any discussion?
Madam Chair? Yep, these three items for receipt of correspondence are just that, as a receipt, but I did want to just provide a quick update on that, and that is Mr. Jacob Graham has been before this honorable board on numerous occasions over the last few months, and I just wanted to report that his concern has been resolved. In fact, if I could just briefly read a quick statement from Mr. Graham that he sent to Mr. Smalley that said, I just wanted to say thank you very much for getting the matter resolved. We really appreciate your responsiveness throughout this process and are very happy with you, your team, and DWSD's service to our block, club, and neighborhood. Mr. Dotson was very communicative and effective in getting this final cement restoration completed. So I would just like to say that this item has now been closed officially. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Good to hear, and I know that Mr. Graham is, based on his comments, is pleased with our cooperation and participation in resolving that for him.
Great job.
Absolutely. Any additional comments on this? So these are all responses to requests that we have received, and we have a motion to receive the correspondence, and it's been supported.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Supported. So all those in favor of approving item 2024-264, receipt of correspondence, indicate by the sign of aye.
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 Nay. Motion carried. Now, why do we have unfinished business? Well, okay. Under unfinished business, we have none. And then under new business, our customer service presentation. Mr. Phillips?
Madam Chair, thank you.
Welcome.
And I would like to introduce Kimberly Crowell, who will be presenting the customer service metrics.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, commissioners. How are you this afternoon?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you. Again, okay, so I will be presenting the November metrics for November 2024. So, excuse me, for the month of November, we received over 56,000 calls, and we responded to over 6,200 email inquiries. Our total customer touch points was little bit over 62,700. Now, I do want to speak on the reason for our call volume. So our call volume was driven by the service line material letter that was mailed out to our customers. Also our non-payment enforcement, as well as Easy Pay and Lifeline customers. So all of these, if the customer fit in these particular situations, then this sparked a call to our office. Okay. So the month of November, again, we had over 62,700 calls, which averaged out to a little bit over 2,800 contacts per day. All in all, with our customer service calls, our email, and our online portal, we had over 147,000 contacts. Our customer contact volume it increases daily. We had over 104% over forecast per day, and 11% of our calls were answered within a 2-minute time frame.
Question, Commissioner Garcia? Did I hear you?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Our average speed of answer for our emergency line was 9 minutes and 42 seconds. 37% of that was that's our service level for that particular call line. For our non-emergency line, our wait time was 24 minutes and 11 seconds with a 4% service level. Our customer satisfaction CSAT score was at 79%, and our first call resolution was at 69%. I do want to also say that our customer satisfaction exceeded goal. We have exceeded this goal for 15 straight months. So in spite of the long wait time that our customers were experiencing, they were still satisfied with our one call resolution. And they expressed all of that in our customer satisfaction survey. So I would like to give kudos to our customer service team for doing an outstanding job.
Well, did any of them express concern about the additional wait time?
They always do. We do get, a few complaints as it relates to how long they had to wait on the phone. However, the service that's provided by our agents, once our agent, do get the call and, we express our empathy and we explain to the customer the reason why our wait time is the length that it is, the customers are more understanding at that time.
What explanation do we give them about why the wait time is as long as it is?
Well, it depends on when the customer calls during the certain time. So let's say if a customer calls at the beginning of the month, we do know that that is during the beginning of every month, we experience very high call volume. And we have a lot of customers, that who are maybe seniors and they're receiving their financial checks and everything at the first of the month. So we explain to them that our call volume, is due to everyone calling us trying to pay their bills and things like that.
Thank you. Because I think that we have an opportunity to explain to them why their wait time is longer than we would want it to be. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And also, we received over 8,000 Easy Pay calls for the month of November.
And that's great. That's great. Commissioner Garcia, any additional questions? Okay, I don't hear her with any additional, so please proceed.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it back over to Matthew Phillips.
Thank you, Ms. Carroll.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to make a comment, and I know that actually all of my team is currently on the phones right now taking calls, so they're not listening to this conversation. But since it's recorded and some of them do go back, I just wanted to mention to the board and to my team that 33% of our monthly call volume came within the 4 days after we sent out the letters for the lead service line announcement letters that came out. So 33% of our monthly volume came within 4 days. So I just wanted to provide just the extra support for our team to know that they did a great job in servicing our customers. And as a follow-up to your question, Madam Chair, we do offer callbacks to all of our customers. So when wait time exceeds 7 minutes, our customers have an opportunity to type in their telephone number and we'll call them back when it's more convenient for them, so they don't have to wait. So we do provide other opportunities for our customers so they don't have to wait to make it more convenient for them. So
thank you for that comment. I was aware of that, but it always is a good idea to be reminded that they have options. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Let's look at and continue on with our Lifeline Affordability and Easy Pay program. We currently have 48,480 individuals that are protected from shut off at the moment. Receiving the Lifeline benefit today for the month of October was 13,834. 15,229 individuals are on the Easy Pay program, which I'll just mention that our target, high-end target goal was 30,000 people. So in the first 4 months, we're already over halfway to our goal, with our 12-month goal within the first 4 months. So we're quite pleased with the way the Easy Pay program is going, and I'll share some even better news financially about that. Pending eligibility by Wayne Metro, there's 8,113 new applications pending eligibility, and recertifications, there's 11,284 pending recertification by Wayne Metro at this time, which totals the 48,460. So that's the total number of individuals that are protected from shut off that have reached out. Looking at Easy Pay, again, the 15,229 are enrolled in it. And just to speak directly to Mr. Williams, who provided public comment, 9,899 are actively participating out of the 15,000 that showed up, meaning that they're actively paying on a monthly basis. That's 65% of the total individuals that have signed up for Easy Pay are making their monthly payment on time. If we compare that to 1030/50, it was less than 10% on a monthly basis. So again, another success check mark for the Easy Pay program. In total, $5.6 million has been collected from those individuals that are on Easy Pay in the first 4 months. And our Promise Pay vendor, who is going to help with additional communications and reaching out to our customers to remind them of when their payments are due, as Mr. Williams had spoke about, that will come into play. We should go live with that within the Q2 of 2025, which we're looking at about April 1st, we should go live with that. And again, I'll just address a second question that Mr. Williams had, as well as others. Out of the 26,000 people on October 1st, when there was 26,000 people enrolled in the Lifeline program, there was approximately 19,000 individuals that were not current and on their bills. In other words, they had a past due balance. 85% of those individuals represent those that are in the $18 a month payment. So that addresses those two, or that concern that Mr. Williams brought up. The recordings that we have are all of the recordings that we have of the Board of Water Commissioner meetings have been posted on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Mr. Peckinpah from our Public Affairs Department has mentioned this on several occasions over the past 3 months, but they are out there, and we would love to have a permanent funding source, but I don't know of any funding source for low-income customers that is permanent that exists. So, but we're doing all we can. And again, just to reiterate what Director Brown said, please meet and talk to your legislators and let them know that you require their support for water affordability programs and funds. And if you can, show up next week in Lansing and show your support in person.
Thank you for that comment. I really do think it's important for us to contact our legislators on this issue. They need to hear from us. They need to know that we are very concerned about the needs of our customers, and we need them to pass legislation that will help us. Commissioner Garcia, I see your hand raised.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. We need to make sure that we contact all the legislators before the session ends, because new people become, sworn in January. And I think they need to know that it's not just for Detroiters, it's for the whole state. I think that is very important.
They know that. They just need to hear from folks to let them know that we want them to act.
Well, I think we need to let our nonprofits start making their phone calls. I think it's very important.
I don't know. Do we have a way of making sure that we ask nonprofits to engage in that conversation, Mr. Phillips?
I would, from my knowledge point, I think everybody is fully aware of what this legislation is and its impact and meaning to it. But and there has been, Senator Chang holds a weekly, every Friday meeting with all the advocates and nonprofits and those that are interested, holds that session every Friday to bring people together. So that is open and there. And I know some of our folks that openly speak to the board are on those calls. And I also know that our own Deborah Pospich has been holding a Monday morning 8 a.m. call every Monday with individuals as well, including people out of the nonprofit world. I mean, we're even soliciting help from our partners at DTE to help spread the word and the message. So I think that we've done an
good job.
absolutely fabulous job of trying to communicate and get the word out. But again, we can talk all we want, but until people show up and actually do it, it's not going to go anywhere. So we have to everybody's got to participate, physically participate.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Commissioner Garcia, I would encourage us, all the commissioners who have any additional means to contact our constituents, those people with whom we come in contact, to have them call, I don't know, call their legislator, call their representative, and really pay attention to this great need. So all of us can help.
Okay. And I make sure I'll call our legislators, and it is Bill 660. Is that it, Mr. Phillips?
You're testing my knowledge, and I don't know off the top of my head.
That's the Senate bill number. I'll post in the chat the House bill number as soon as I look it up.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Director. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, please proceed.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, we have to start.
Excuse me. We have to recess and open the HR committee meeting.
Sir, I would like to recess this meeting to the call of the chair. That time went fast.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes, ma'am. We will now convene the HR subcommittee meeting. Madam Secretary, could we have a roll call?
Chairperson Davis?
Present.
Commissioner Blackman?
Right.
Commissioner Garcia?
Present, Arizona. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We will now recess to the call of the chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Davis. We will now reconvene the Customer Service Committee meeting.
Madam Chair?
Planning calendar.
Yes, Madam Chair, we'd like to start the planning calendar item. We have today we have the honor of Tiffany Jones, our Diversity, Opportunity, Inclusion Director, to provide us an update from a previous Board of Water Commissioners meeting. Tiffany?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Board of Water Commissioners. As Matt stated, I am Tiffany Jones, Diversity, Opportunity, and Inclusion Director for DWSD. It is my pleasure to come before you today to provide an update on DWSD's recent improvements for our visually impaired customers. You may recall on June 18th, the Detroit chapter of the National Federation of the Blind provided some comments to this board about some of the challenges that they faced when they tried to independently pay their water bill. Director Brown committed at that meeting that their concerns would be addressed and improvements would be made. A subcommittee was later formed, led by me, and it included all of the appropriate groups: customer service, billing, public affairs, and IT. We met regularly with the Federation to discuss their concerns and work on solutions together. We have had 5 meetings since July, and I'm happy to report just a few updates. The first is that our customer service representatives have all been informed that any customer that has a disability, that they can be seen in person if they come to the Water Board building. Even though appointments and prior arrangements are encouraged and recommended, we do know that there are times that prior arrangements cannot be made. So this information was communicated on all of the August and November bills, and the Federation was also able to help us pass along the information to its members. Secondly, the Federation had issues with being timed out when they were trying to input their credit card information over the phone when they were trying to pay their bill. We have extended the amount of time that's allotted, and they are very pleased with the new time frame. Thirdly, we are currently working with our current vendor who prints out our bills to be able to offer large print bills. This new option should be available by February, and customers will be able to request these large print bills the same way they can select to go paperless by going online or by calling DWSD's customer service department. And lastly, we are working on an option to possibly provide our bills in Braille. The price of doing so may be cost restrictive, so we are working with the Federation to do a little bit more research and get a better understanding and estimate of how many customers would even be interested in this service. So there will be more information to come on that. So far, the Federation is very pleased with the improvements, and we look forward to continuing our partnership and relationship as we work to come up with more solutions. I will continue to keep this board updated and informed, and that includes my report if there are any other questions.
I have a question, Ms. Jones, but I just want to commend you on the kinds of outreach you have made to accommodate not just our customers who may be sight challenged, but in the other areas where you have reached out and made improvements. I really do think we are really setting a wonderful record of how willing we are to not only listen to the needs of our constituents, but to address them in a very positive way. So thank you for that. Are there any questions or comments of Ms. Jones?
Appreciate all that work.
Yes. I heard
Madam Chair, I just wanted to make one comment just to say that Tiffany has done an absolute wonderful job of pulling everybody together and holding them on task. So she's done absolutely wonderful. And I know Mr. Clay from the National Federation for the Blind has been nothing but pleased and provided nothing but positive comments. But as accolades aside, another first that DWSD has started, just like Lifeline being first in the country. I think we might be one of the first utilities out there. I know that our partners downtown here, another large utility, DTE, does not offer any of these options to its sight impaired customers. And I know that they've thanked me very much for doing this, being the first, because now Mr. Clay is and the National Federation of the Blind is saying, hey, if DWSD can do it, you guys can do it. So congratulations, Tiffany, setting another trend, another first for DWSD.
Thank you so much.
We get additional, I think, coverage for these monumental changes. I think these things are extremely beneficial to our customers, and not enough people know about it. So how do we publicize that, or promote this, or make customers aware of these outstanding, I think, improvements in service to our customers, not just those that you're mentioning about who are sight challenged, but the other things that we're doing too. How do we get greater publicity? That's what I'm really trying to say.
We will definitely work with our public affairs team to maybe hand out some handouts in the community and engagement. But we will put them on our bills, and our most effective resource have been working with these organizations that have direct communication to their members. Working with the Federation is very valuable because, they are the members that they, are in this Federation are the direct people that will impact from these changes. So we will continue to work with public affairs and these associations to communicate the new improvements and options.
Thank you very much. I think it's important that we make sure other people are aware, other customers, other residents, other constituents are aware of the great advances we're making in these areas. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
All right, does that conclude your report?
That concludes my report.
I'm looking at my, is that the end of Mr. Phillips?
Yes, you can stop my screen. There you go. Thank you.
So, are there any other matters to come? Oh, the planning calendar. We just did that. That was the National Federation of the Blind. I don't know if we've got anything else planned, but are there any other matters to come before this committee? I see none. So the next meeting date is January 7th, along with all the other committee members. So the chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved, Madam Chair.
And supported that this meeting stands adjourned. Thank you so much.
All right, we will now reconvene the Human Resources and Organizational Development Committee. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
So moved, Madam.
Second.
All right, all in favor of the motion signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And that motion is carried. We now have approval of the minutes from November 6th. Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
Motion's been made and properly supported. All in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, that motion is carried as well. That brings us to public participation. Mr. Peckinpah, do we have any hands up?
Sure, we do have one hand raised, Mr. Miko Williams.
Welcome, Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams,
hear me?
welcome. Yes, we
Yes,
hear
can
you
you hear
now.
me?
Go ahead.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Hi, Commissioner Davis. How are you?
I'm
Happy
fine. How are
holidays
you?
to you, sir. Very good.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Hey, listen, I'm so happy. Thank you to the customer service committee that spoke. Thank you, Mr. Phillips, for that clarification. And I also want to thank Director Smalley for providing us that answer that's very critical for all of us to know about the lead situation. But I just want to respond, again, when you have 85% delinquency, that's kind of calling into question about this program. Trump will be president on January 20th, and I'm not sure what we can do in that time frame to get this legislation through. So I will be working on those senators and legislators. They all know me, and it's very, very difficult when you have other issues going on that they are so concerned about, but also that has to be on the effort of everyone, the water department, Wayne Metro, everybody that care, even we, the people of Detroit and others, to get their people together to get these Senate bills passed and to make our legislators who we voted for get these bills passed so that we can have long-term funding. But we also need to look at other ways. And I understand federal and state, blah, 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 but we also have to work with our corporate community and such. Man, they got the money. They can flood the block. They can flood 7 Mile and everywhere around the city since they want to pay so much for Duggan's campaign. But that's neither here or there. Again, let's just all continue to partner and work together. No more fighting, no more back and forth. For 2025, we all need to band together because this is going to be critical for democracy, for Detroit, for our state, and also for our department. Thank you so much. And Ms. Pat Hemphill called me. I'm still waiting on you to hear. I'm very excited about getting these ideas to you. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other hands?
Mr. Chair, there are no more hands raised.
All right. Thank you, sir. We'll now close public participation. That brings us to communications, and we have none. We also don't have any unfinished business. And that brings us to new business, which is HR metrics. I believe that's going to be Director Thornhill.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
I will share my screen. Okay, we will start off with our demographics, and we have a total of 672 employees. That is an increase of 9 since the last month. Our slide on Detroit's residents and hiring, again, 672 employees. And again, you'll see that our headcount is trending upward and increasing. Are there any questions?
Is it question, Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Garcia.
Yes, are we at what we were before they downsized by any chance? Because I thought it was 633 at one time, but I wasn't sure. And so we're way past 633. Is there a maximum that we were looking at?
Not to my knowledge. I just know based on business needs, we have been growing our employee population. So this chart just shows the trajectory that's moving upward. So we have
Is that
been
it?
inclined.
Does that also include contractors, which would not be employees, or just employees?
Just employees, no contractors.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any others?
Excuse me, one moment, Patricia. Mr. Chair, we need to recess and open up the legal committee.
All right, the HR committee will recess to the call of the chair.
Okay. Marion?
Yes.
Okay, yep. The Detroit Board of Water Commissioners Legal and Government Affairs Committee will now come to order. Would you please call the roll?
Chairperson Kinlock,
Present?
Commissioner Einhauser,
Present.
Commissioner Blackman.
Great.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
We'll now recess to the call of the chair.
All right, thank you. We'll now reconvene the HR subcommittee. Can someone bring that agenda? Okay, very good. Okay.
Any other questions before we move along? Okay. Our current employees, the current number retirement eligible is 120. That makes up 18% of our workforce. Again, HR meets with every divisional director in chief and discusses a succession plan around employees who are retiring and as it relates to critical skills within that division. Any questions? Okay. Currently, we have 12 open requisitions, which equates to 19 open positions. This is our only slide. Are there any questions?
Yes, I see the division, the people that we're hiring. It seems we don't need any customer service at the time at all.
Not currently, but next year we project that we will.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Any others? Okay. Since our last Board of Water Commissioners meeting, we have participated in 2 career fairs. Again, our normal career fair at Durfee, the Innovation Society, and with Detroit at Work. Again, this allows us to build our pipeline for hiring some of our customer service and field service technician positions. Are there any questions?
Is there a question, Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Garcia.
Yes, is there an opportunity that we could look at doing one of the fairs over at Samaritan Center?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, because Sarah, I know, is a very big partner and they work real closely with all of us. So I thought that would be, because they just reopened it and they had a ribbon cutting. So I thought great time to maybe early next year have because that part of the community doesn't always have all the access.
Okay. Thank you so much, Commissioner Garcia. Absolutely. Okay. Next, we have our planning calendar. And for this month, we are slated to discuss the new employee orientation. So quickly, let's take a look at what this entails. So currently, the City of Detroit offers a new employee orientation for all City of Detroit employees. It's a virtual new employee orientation where supervisors sign up their new employees via a link. Also, our operations team offers a very nice and comprehensive new employee orientation for our FSTs called the new FST experience, and is very well received with our FSTs, and they do a great job with that. But in order to build upon what the City of Detroit offers, or just to offer something in lieu of that, DWSD, now that we have a full HR team, we're now offering DWSD, new employee orientation, but in person at our CSF facility. So just very quickly on the screen, you'll see some red and some green, and you'll see where we offer certain aspects of the new employee orientation. And I'll expound a little on the next 3 slides. We have a check-in, and the only thing we don't do is equipment. We don't distribute our IT equipment. We let our operations team handle that. But you'll see where we offer some nuances as it relates to all of DWSD. In terms of a tour, we talk about MOB and CSF. We also focus on our policies and other benefits, and I'll show you a little bit of that in a second. So this is just an overall view to compare the 3 types of employee orientation. Both of the DWSD orientations are in person. So we have a 2-part agenda here. And again, this is conducted by the HR team in person at our central services facility. And we go over the Board of Water Commissioners, our executive team, different departments, divisions, and the HR team. All 3 of the orientations offer an icebreaker. But one thing we focus on with human resources is benefits. And as discussed with Director Brown, we found it very important to reiterate to our new employees, especially a lot of our younger new employees who may not understand what a deferred compensation is or what an annuity is, just how important it is to understand those benefits and sign up, and what it means to sign up, and what that does for you when you are retirement eligible. So we spend a little bit more time one-on-one in person with our new employees to cover this. We also make sure that they check their email and they follow up with their benefit enrollment as well. Are there any questions before we move on to the next slide? Another important section or feature of the new employee orientation is labor relations. We talk about our dress code. We introduce employees to our fraud hotline, all of the annual required training on anti-discrimination, anti-harassment, where the DWSD policies are located. All of these things are discussed in the new employee orientation, as well as the union contracts. And we introduce the union leadership to the employees. Another important, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Garcia.
Yes, I would like to ask you, would it be kind of nice every once, a year or whatever, not only to give these policies or renew these policies with new people, but also just to make sure that the people that have been on a while can review them, just for their own protection and also for our protection, because they could say, hey, we never received them, or we never saw them, or we didn't look at them. It doesn't hurt to give them to people that have been there a while also, just to recap them. I would imagine. I don't know. Does that sound okay?
Yes, Commissioner Garcia, and that's a great point to make. All of our policies are available on the DWSD intranet. But to your point, to carry that a little bit further, we are in the process, we're working with the legal team to remind employees to refresh themselves on certain policies, and also their policies that are required annually or biannually for employees to review and understand. So again, we're collaborating with the legal team to make sure that we have that role rolled out across the board. But at any given time, any employee can reference the policies on the DWSD intranet. So those are very good points. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Another important piece of the new employee orientation is UltiPro self-service. You know, a lot of us that use computers often or order things on the phone often, we take it for granted that there are other people who may not use the computers daily at work or may not be that knowledgeable about how to manipulate different websites on their phone. So what we do is we take time and we explain the hows and the what of our UltiPro self-service system here at the City of Detroit. And we discuss how employees can update their personal information, how they can change their direct deposit and ensure that they receive a direct deposit, as well as how to review their time cards and to make sure their time cards are accurate, and for salary employees to make sure they submit their time cards. So this is a very important part.
Chair,
Commissioner Blackman.
because there's so much fraud going on these days, I shouldn't say these days, it's been for a while. Do we have periodic training on how to protect your information and to make sure that you don't go on sites that might be harmful to not only to your computer, but to the department's computer?
Yes, and that's a great question, Commissioner Blackman. Our IT team, they use a platform called KnowBe4. They roll out training on a consistent basis that discusses phishing scams and fraud and different things to be aware of. Currently, there are 3 sets of trainings that are available now and that are due, and we are tracked and monitored as to if we've completed them. And they cover different fraud and scam type of plans that people have out there in the field. So they make sure that we're aware on how to avoid those things.
Thank you very much. Because I think there sometimes just by clicking on it, you don't have to have access to any information, but just by clicking on the site can cause really real problems so that not only your computer, but for the department.
Absolutely. And we've been doing that for a few years, and I think it's been a good implementation. I don't know if Anil Gosing is online and would like to speak. If he is, Anil, please cut in. But if not, yes, the IT department does implement that training and it is mandatory.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? Okay, and we covered this portion on the agenda in terms of some of the different nuances between the new employee orientation sessions. And we'll have a new planning calendar next month for next year. If there aren't any questions, that concludes my report. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Thornhill. All right. Are there any other matters that need to come, commissioners? If not, our next meeting is January 7th, and Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move. Support.
All right. We stand adjourned. Thank you all.
Sure.
Okay. The Legal and Government Affairs Committee meeting will reconvene. We'll now go to the order of the day. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Motion is in order to approve the agenda.
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
It's been supported. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, this item stands approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the previous meeting minutes of November 6th, 2024. Motion is in order.
I move adoption of the minutes as presented.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the meeting minutes, that previous meeting minutes as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, this item stands approved. Next item on the agenda is public participation. And who will read the public participation instructions, as well as do we have anyone asking to be recognized today?
Mr. Chair, Brian Peckinpah, Public Affairs Director. We do have one hand raised. I will read the brief instructions. To make a comment, please raise your hand by using the raise hand icon on your desktop or mobile device. If you are calling into the meeting by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. During public comment, if your name is called, you will be unmuted. In order to begin speaking, you will have to unmute yourself. You will have a limit of 2 minutes to make your comment. There will be a timer indicating your remaining time. If you're online to make a comment, we kindly request you fill out the comment card link that's located in the chat so we can follow up appropriately. You will only be called upon once. Once the chair closes public comment, there will be no other comments from the public, and all attendees will remain muted for the duration of the meeting. Thank you for your attention. And Mr. Chair, we did have Ms. Gwen Howard with her hand raised, but I see she took it down.
Okay. I'd like to ask anyone who would like to be recognized by the committee to address the committee today to please raise your hand. Please raise your hand. Please raise your hand. Mr. Peckinpah, do you see any hands raised?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ms. Gwen Howard has her hand raised.
Okay, you're recognized.
You know what? Good afternoon again. I don't know what's going on with the hand raising and lowering, because I just left it there. Even when you were speaking before, I couldn't. It was still up. At least on my screen, it was still up. But my question was, oh gosh, we're on a different subject. Was about the Lifeline. What's going to happen to them while they're in legislation? I know we're trying to push that because we had a meeting about that. I sat in on a meeting. So I'm just saying, what's going to happen to the customers when because your funding is running out, according to you guys, is running out. So therefore, what's going to happen to the ones that are in Lifeline?
Okay, since this question was I intended for the previous committee meeting, like staff
up for that, so I just never took it back down. And then when you open this one up, I took it down to bring it back up to see if it didn't work or it wasn't, because we can't get in the chat.
Okay, well, thank you, and sorry for the technical difficulty. Yep.
But that's my question, and if they take time to answer it, if not, we'll get connected.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Staff will answer accordingly. Someone will take note and respond accordingly. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, the next person is D'Amico Williams.
Mr. Williams.
Hello, Commissioner Kinlock. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays.
Yes. D'Amico Williams, Chief Executive Director, Hydrate Detroit. I just want to start with a general comment. You know, guys, please consider us water advocates. We are really trying to help. You know, we don't want to go back and forth with you. We don't want to argue, and we don't want to present any problems. We're just all trying to work together so we can get a positive solution so we don't get sued. You know, please be careful, because these mishaps and missteps that could take place in regards to the Lifeline and customers that are, it could result in a lawsuit. We don't want any court action. I'm still angry at the indecision of Judge Denise Page Hood. I'm still angry about that. I ain't giving that up. You know, I just want this. I just want the water department to do right by the people. You all are trying. We applaud you. We thank you for doing so. But you all should be setting precedent to make sure that everyone has access to clean water, whether they can pay for it or not. We are coming out of a pandemic. We have a lot of factors, economic factors. The city isn't doing too well, you know, and people's circumstances have changed. You don't know what these 25,000 or 15,000 people are going through. And again, you know, let us work together so that we can better inform. You need to restore the trust and integrity and dignity of this department with the residents. I keep telling you over and over and over again for the past 2 years, trust is important, integrity, and also making sure that you have a rapport where you don't criticize, judge, or leave people out to thinking, well, no one cares about me, so I'm just not going to pay. No, I'm just not going to pay because I don't have it. I'm just not going to pay because I got too many things going on, and you're not compassionate. But when you are compassionate, people will pay. People will come around. They trying the best they know how. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, there are no more hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's get the screen, move the agenda over so I can see it. Let's see. Okay, public participation is closed. What I can't see the next item. Okay, public participation. Next item is receipt of correspondence. A motion is in order.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would like to move the adoption of 6A and B regarding to receive and file correspondence, the FOIA report and the litigation report.
Thank you. Is there support? Is there support?
Can't hear me? Support.
Yes, it's been moved and supported. Okay, all those in favor is receiving and filing items A and B, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Now,
Both
Mr.
items are
Chairman, yeah, I would
items are receive and file.
I would invite staff comment on either one of those items of correspondence if there's something that needs to be highlighted.
Okay, so let me ask at this point, based upon those two reports, I'll ask staff, is there any items within those reports that you believe need to be highlighted to or brought before the committee to discuss a little further?
Mr. Chairman, Scott McGriff, General Counsel of DWSD. There's nothing in particular that has to be highlighted in these two reports. However, I will note that it is General Counsel's office intent in the next committee meeting to present a sort of a 6-month overview of items that we've accomplished and that have taken place in a consolidated manner. It will be a very short presentation, but it's our intent to do that at the next committee meeting and then repeat that for the full board that follows.
Thank you. That'll be a welcome presentation. Thank you for that. And you and I still need to talk about the plan, the work, the committee's plan of action.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Planning calendar. There you go. Okay, thank you. So the next item on the agenda is unfinished business. There is none. Next item. Next item is item 8. New business. There is none. And the planning calendar, as I just stated, our general counsel and I will get together to bring to discuss a potential planning calendar for the upcoming year. And the next item on the agenda is other business. I know of none. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, January 7th, 2024. And at this time, a motion to adjourn is in order.
I would so move.
Is there support? Okay, support. So it's moved and supported to adjourn. The meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.